Good morning, everyone. Today we are going to elaborate in this general knowledge session about 7 sustainable development goals introduced by United Nations in 2015. United Nations and other 193 nations got together to study all kinds of comprehensive global social problems. Sit down and discuss about all these problems and try to hammer them out. Hammer them out the best they know how. And they have actually come up with 17 sustainable goals, 17 sustainable development goals under which all the comprehensive problems, all the comprehensive grievances of the global societies are all encompassed. And by 2030, 15 years of time is allocated to the United Nations to think about it, to strategize about it, to make the blueprint about it, to prepare about it, to collect all the information about it, to put all the information in the melting pot and come up with some kind of sustainable solution of these 17 goals. Today we are going to talk about 5 goals, and next 3 days we are going to talk about this, and we are going to wind up all the 17 goals. The most important thing that United Nations has come up with since 1945, since it came into existence, is these 17 sustainable development goals. Now we have to wait and see whether United Nations and its member nations, all 193 very formidable entities, can deliver it or not, can achieve it or not, can accomplish it or not. Unfortunately, my experience, my observation, my knowledge says no. Big no. Boisterous no. United Nations has not accomplished even a thing since 1945. If you read its charter, you're going to find out that the purpose, the goal, the ambition, the objectives, every single thing were very categorically and unequivocally cleared out, written down, jotted down that what United Nations is going to do. But since 1945 today, most of the problems, micro or macro, are still status quo. Look at China and India, Arunachal Pradesh, Siachen Glacier. These problems are going on, and the United Nations has not been able to split even Papua. India, Pakistan, Palestine, Israel, Russia, Japan, China, Hong Kong. It has been going on in your generation, and it has been going on since our time. United Nations don't even take any kind of interest, not even lifting the finger, don't invite them even. Invite these feuding leaders that come down over here to New York, sit down and we're going to talk about it. No. They are watching every single thing is burning around us. And whenever the reporters reach them, they don't have time. They don't have time to talk. How they can have time to do anything? So forget about it. We are not here to talk about United Nations, but we are going to talk about this 17 supposedly imaginary sustainable goals created by 193 rich and famous movers and shakers, big people who are the ambassador over there. They actually created in 2015 for 15 years. What does it mean? It means that for the next 15 years, we are not going to ask them any question what you are doing. And if you ask them any kind of question, only the answer you are going to get. And then answer is, we are working on 17 goals. What are you doing now? So we are working on 17 goals. Guys, it is 2025. What are you doing? So we are working on 17 goals. They have actually created a very delicious, melodious lollipop and stuck it into our mouth that keep on sucking on it like chewing gum. You are moving your jaw, but nothing is coming out. So let's forget about it and move to the point number one. Point number one is clean water and sanitation. United Nations has decided in 2015 that by 2030, every nation in the world, every nation, 193 are the members, 266, 67 are other nations that United Nations has not still considered them qualified to get the membership. But clean water and sanitation is the goal of United Nations to be achieved for every nation in a carpet manner. Unfortunately, nothing has been done so far. 5 years have elapsed. Nothing has happened. Number two, affordable clean energy. We all know that CSF level has reached to about 600 ppm, chlorofluorocarbon, CO2, chlorofluorocarbon, all kinds of pollution, ambient pollution, water pollution, every single thing is directly or indirectly linked with energy, means petroleum. We have been thinking about it, and thinking about it, and eventually thinkers will die. New generation emerges. New generation thinks, and then dies. This is the procedure has been going on about petroleum. Petroleum will never go away because the nations which are selling the petroleum means OPEC nations, Saudi Arabia and Iran and all kinds of other nations, Europeans and Arab nations. They are so formidable, so forceful, so great, tremendous nation. They will not allow you to think even. They will not allow you to think about go for the alternative energy. Petroleum is here to stay. These people are all making us fool, taking us for the ride that we are working on the alternative energy. So they don't have to work about anything, work upon anything. And they just sit on the chair, whining and dining, drawing big hefty salaries. What are you doing? We are scientists and we are working on alternative energy for you and for your generation. My big foot. Third is industrial innovation and world-class infrastructure. 17 goals. One of the goals is to innovate novel, holistic industrial system in the world. Not only that, but infrastructure we have to build in order to carry this civilization, and this infrastructure must be world-class infrastructure, capable and viable to ferry the goods, ferry people, ferry every single thing across the globe. The first road was built 2,200 years ago in Rome during the time of Caesar. When the courtmen of Caesar asked him, the Caesar, why we are building this road? What are we going to do with road and what we cannot do without road? Caesar retorted. Caesar said, remember, without road you cannot have economy. And 2,200 years later, these jokers who are sitting over there in the United Nations are talking about building infrastructure. Just 2,200 years later only. Think. Think about us and think about them. Think about the Julius Caesar's mind, strategy, philosophy, foresight, insight. Think about us. Even today we don't have world-class infrastructure. Julius Caesar built the best structure of the time 2200 years ago. Fifth point is sustainable economic growth. We all know economic growth. Everybody knows. But only the problem with economic growth is that it fluctuates. 7% growth GDP, 8% GDP, 2020 India GDP grew to 10.5%, then now it is 6.5% somewhere. American economic GDP grew about 6-7%, now it is 2.5%. Japanese GDP grew by about 8%, now it is 1.5%. So it is not sustainable growth. Nevertheless, there is growth. So what United Nations has been trying, or perhaps will try, God willing, they may try to make the economic growth sustainable, which, by the way, I personally perceive it is absolutely unlikely task for the people sitting over there. They are not capable, viable to split even papenda. Fifth point is obliteration of gender equality. You know, gender equality is everywhere, including America. I have seen from a very close quarters, females are much more liberated. Then in comparison with Asia, Africa and Latin America, but not in comparison with their own male folks, with their own male counterparts. No. Husband and wife both will come to home from work. Husband will throw himself on the couch. Wife will rush into the kitchen and start cooking. Why it is not other way around? Why husband doesn't rush into the kitchen and start cooking, and the wife relaxes on the couch asking him, honey, can you pass me a beer? This is inequality. Inequality is every corner of the world, every corner of the city, every corner of the neighborhood, every corner of the home. Now, how many places the United Nations is going to go, and how possibly gender equality can be targeted and eliminated? Both the things are impossible. Nevertheless, like I said earlier, they have created a delicious, delectable, melodious lollipop stuck in our mouths, so we can keep on sucking on it until 2030. And those people who were there in 2015, those who were there in 2015 would have been long gone. So we are not going to go after them and say, hey guy, you promise us. What happened to our 17 sustainable development goals? He is not going to return our phone, guys. He is not going to return the phone to his wife. So don't believe anything. Just learn for the sake of learning. It's not a religion, it's a knowledge. Religion is something we are going to instill and imbibe in our sanctum sanctorum. This is all worldly knowledge. We learn so that we know what is going on in the world. So these are the 5 points we are going to cover today. Tomorrow we are going to pick up 5 more and see you again tomorrow. Until then, thank you very much for listening. See you tomorrow. God bless you.